Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of Nerdarchy gets taken over by Professor Bill. You know what? It's done. It's done. As far as I'm concerned, I'm fully integrated in the Nerdarchy profession right now. That's it. I'm here. I'm here. So no more need to do the takeover stuff. Plus, it really takes a long time to pull all that stuff off, like a lot. So we're just going to talk here about the comic books that are out right now that I've done reviews for and that I talk about in my weekly podcasts every Saturday at 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, even a lot of you guys overseas, you can check it out live if you so choose. It's actually a lot of fun over there. I mean, come on. If you guys have seen any of the Marvel superheroes games that I have run for Nerdarchy, you know that I'm really interactive with the chat. So there's that. And I get to devote pretty much my full attention to the chat in this. All right. So we have Action Comics number 991. We're getting close to 1,000 issues of Action Comics. Superman has fronted the comics pretty much the entire time. It's really amazing stuff. It's good stuff. And this is this the actual fate of Superman's father, Jor-El? Because he came back. He actually came back. The events that caused him to come back are still a little bit sketchy, but they're coming up in the upcoming event, Countdown to Doomsday Clock. That's where the rest of the Watchmen, actually, the entire Watchmen universe comes into play. Dr. Manhattan apparently is having some fun in the DC universe. He apparently created a version, perhaps the DC's New 52 version of the DC universe. That's crazy. It's crazy talk, but we're covering it. So we're also going to jump over to Batman Lost, issue number 1. Now, if you've been following along, reading, or at least Comic Book University, I recommend reading also, then you know that Batman has been missing from the DC universe as of late. He's been missing because all this crazy stuff has happened. A demon named Barbados has actually used him as a conduit. 9 precious, rare, mystified metals have entered Batman's body, and now he is a gateway to allow all these other evil versions of Batman coming out, including the Batman Who Laughs, which will be coming out next Wednesday, and that's supposed to obviously be the Joker version of Batman. People are really looking forward to this. I'm not joking when I say the value of that first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs has already jumped up a lot. People are going crazy. They're going gaga for this. It's nuts, guys. And you know, crazy is probably the perfect word because it's the Joker. But in Batman Lost One Shot, what happens is you get to see what's happening to Batman right now. You know what's happening to Batman? Nah, dude, go buy the comic. Or at the very least, check out the review. And then buy the comic because it's worth it. Guys, let's move over to a little bit of Daredevil, a little bit of Marvel. We're talking about Daredevil, issue number 595. Guys, we're starting off with the renumbering of the Marvel Universe. We're going back to the original numbering system. They've already got almost 600 issues out of Daredevil. Check this out. What happens is Mayor Fisk, Wilson Fisk actually becomes the mayor of New York City in the Marvel Universe. That's right. If you guys have been following along with the FASERIP game that I'm running Monday nights at 8 o'clock on Nerdarchy, if you're following along with those, you know that I have also stated that Wilson Fisk is the mayor there. I don't know what Wilson Fisk is going to do as mayor in the comic books, but I do know what I'm going to be doing in the game to totally mess with the players. Nonetheless, yeah, a little bit of hints for some of you guys who are watching. But you get to see how Daredevil reacts to it. And now that Kingpin has a specified position of power not in the underground, what does he do with power in the open, especially to his oldest arch nemesis, Daredevil? No, Spider-Man is not actually considered a particular arch nemesis for him anymore because Spider-Man is just way too strong. Okay, so Despicable Deadpool, issue number 289. Deadpool is still trying to go back and forth and forward through time to try and kill Cable. That's right, his best friend Cable. And Cable is not about to let it happen very easily. So what happens in this comic? This is all I'm going to say. Radioactive dinosaur vampires. How does that happen? Check the review, grab the comic. If you're not laughing, there's something broke inside of you. Jessica Jones, issue number 14. Now, I'm not actually supposed to say issue 14 because Brian Michael Bendis likes them to be called case number 14s. That's cool. Now, Purple Man comes back. Purple Man is back, and he's actually talking to Jessica through her daughter. Her and Luke Cage have a daughter named Danny. Yes, named after Luke's best friend, Danny Rand, Iron Fist. So he's much better in the comics than he was in the TV series. Anyway, Jessica's actually being attacked in this way, and it's really messed up. Kilgrave has a serious obsession with her, and she just needs it to go away. So she's got to find a way to actually meet with him face to face. Hope that she doesn't have that immunity to his persuasiveness like she does in the TV series. That doesn't happen. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty rough. Now the story hopefully will continue until Secession, until it's actually finished, its own personal completion properly. But Brian Michael Bendis, the writer of the current series, the writer of all of the series for Jessica Jones, and the creator of Jessica Jones. That's right. He's actually leaving Marvel. I talk about that in my podcasts, again, every Saturday at 8 o'clock. What does that mean for the Marvel Universe, man? Brian Michael Bendis, one of the oldest mainstays, the creator of so many of the latest characters that are out there, and ones that aren't really considered too new. He's leaving for an exclusive contract with DC Comics. That's crazy. Will he be writing for Batman? Who will he be writing for? What will he be writing? Time will tell. And seriously, stick with Comic Book University to find out, because I'm all over that. All right. Master of Kung Fu, issue number 126. This is going to be a one-shot. This is taking all of the various seasons that he's had, all the different volumes that Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, has been in. And if you guys are wrestling fans, WWE fans from back, not too terribly long ago, the writer for this comic is CM Punk. That's right, I said it. CM Punk is the writer for this. Now, he used to write for Drax the Destroyer for a quick little, I think it was a 6-issue miniseries. And, of course, Drax is based off of one of his best friends, Batista, off in the WWE, who clearly played Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So CM Punk is actually writing for just a one-shot, one and done, for Shang-Chi. He takes a very different approach, and I didn't think I was going to like it. I genuinely didn't, but it turns out I actually love it. The only book this week that I really love a lot more than that would be issue number 4 of Mr. Miracle. Now, Nerditor Doug, if he's listening, his ears perked up. Yes, Professor Bill, talk about it. He comments often, especially on the Mr. Miracle videos that I put out. It's really good stuff, man. I'm telling you, if you're only going to get one comic, this is a bold statement. If you're only going to get one comic that comes out once a month, and try and save your money, you can get it for $2.99 in the States. Guys, please make it Mr. Miracle. Issue number 4 just came out this week. It's not too hard to get some of the reprinted. Issue number 1 is already in like the 3rd or 4th reprinting. That's how good, that's how much people are clamoring for this comic book. It's cerebral, and you don't even have to know too much about the DC Universe or the New Gods to really be able to follow along. But again, if you need any help, Comic Book University is there. Comment on the video. I'm more than happy to answer your response. I pretty much respond to everybody. All right, guys. On top of that, here, I read this digitally because I usually do my books digitally, but in this particular case, I had to go out and buy it. And I didn't just have to buy because I will sometimes buy the actual issue because I want them in my collection, but I actually sprung for the lenticular cover of Moon Knight. Oh, you're right. Oh, and you know what? I'm just noticing that the back is lenticular also. Look at that. Advertising Avengers, no surrender. But right here, that's an upcoming event, mini event. But look at this. Oh, look how gorgeous that is. Just, it's lenticular. It's actually referencing back to, this is issue number 188. All right. There's been 7 volumes, I believe, of Moon Knight in the past. So you add all those up and all the individual issues, comes up to issue number 188. But this is a callback to the first series, I think the first volume of issue number 10 of Moon Knight also. Oh, God. And why did I have to grab this double-sized lenticular cover issue? Because, God, sorry, just give me a second. Oh, God. That's why. Because I just like getting my O-face on. All right, guys, real talk here. We introduce a brand new villain in here, and this is supposed to be a main arc villain, an arc nemesis. The writer, it's brand new writer to Marvel, and he says, you know what? I love Batman. Batman's always been good, but Moon Knight's always been better. The thing that's killed me about Moon Knight is that Moon Knight has never really had that true-to-life, permanent arc villain in the vein that Joker is to Batman, and that's a crying shame, and we need to change that. So this right here, guys, you want to get your hands on some first appearances because that's the stuff that goes up in value a lot. If you're not planning on I don't plan on selling my comics in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? But be good for the kids, for college. More than that, it's just the idea of holding a piece of history, comic book history. If you love your comics, if you're watching this, you got to love some comics, right? But this right here I'm telling you right now, and Professor Bill always tells you this stuff, this is a piece of history right now. This is a brand new villain. You get as much of his origin story as you're probably ever going to get, and he's amazing. There's so many questions with this character. He's about as big an enigma as Moon Knight himself is, Mark Spector, or is it Jake Lockley, or is it, you know what? He's got so many identities, I don't know. So that's what we got there. And a couple more. Uncanny Avengers issue number 29. You actually get to see the Juggernaut fighting off against the team. Not the best fight that there is, but they've got this new creature in there called the Citara, which are miniature Juggernauts. And they're the cutest things. I want one. I want one so bad. Wonder Woman issue number 34. You finally get to see the brother of Wonder Woman. That's right. It's been talked about for a long time now, and she gets to meet and have a conversation with her brother Jason, named after Jason of the Argonauts, and apparently his teacher, the person who raised him, was an Argonaut. So that's actually pretty cool. This is a really good story. What happens with her and her brother? It surprised me. It surprised me. That's all I'm going to say. Check out the review, grab the comic. Last but not least would be Phantoma, issue number 2. Now, this is Chapter House Comics. This is a local Canadian comic book group, but Chapter House Comics has grabbed the Phantoma title. Now, Phantoma, I'm going to give you guys a piece of history here. I just talked about Wonder Woman. A lot of people like to think Wonder Woman's the first superhero, female superhero. It's not the case at all. Hawkwoman came out before her, for crying out loud. You know who the first superhero was? The first female superhero was in the comic books? You just saw her, Phantoma. Now, this is not the original Phantoma, clearly. You know, saying it's a slightly different take on Phantoma. Phantoma is so old, guys, that she's actually in the public domain. You could write a Phantoma comic book if you wanted to. There's no license fee. There's no nothing. You just write the comic book to your character. Have some fun with it. Just you have to give credit to the original writer. And go check out Comic Book University. I'll give you all the details on that. Guys, this is a really good story. Unfortunately, the way that Chapter House Comics works is they don't do it digitally. So if you get this Canadian imprint in your local comic book store, you're golden. If not, you have to wait 1 week. They do not put out the digital release until 1 week later. Why? Because they really want to represent the actual spirit of comic books proper. I couldn't even blame Marvel or DC if they want to do the same thing. I know they have to stay competitive with each other more than anything else, but that is, you got to admit, that's a very, very noble thing to do. The people who actually get the physical comic book get this comic book 1 week earlier. This is in my pull list. I loved issue number 1. Issue number 2 was pretty darn good in and of itself. Go ahead and check out Comic Book University. This is considered an indie comic, and I put up all my indie comic reviews on Mondays. So this will be up by the time that you see it. Anyway, guys, that's all I really got for the most part for the comic books I'm reviewing. But on top of that, I do a lot more. Just reviewed episode number 8, the final episode for the Inhumans TV series. It finished. I'm kind of glad it finished. I was not particularly happy with the series, but go back and check out each one and have fun. I talk with the chat while I'm doing it in the middle of the freaking night. I'm talking like 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And on top of that, I'm also reviewing every Monday. You'll see it tonight if you're watching this when it first drops. On Monday nights, darn it, around the time that the the Nerdarchy game comes out, there's the Gifted TV series that's on Fox. It's actually about the back teams of X-Men, the hidden X-Men that are trying to hide from the law, the Sentinel Services. It's a really good TV series, and I love getting into it with the chat. As soon as I'm finished talking to the guys on Nerdarchy with the live game, I actually go over and I watch my TiVo'd version of the Gifted. And then I really quickly put together thumbnails and I go live and I talk about that also. So feel free to check in. Check in afterwards. Try to show up live though. It gets fun live. It gets really fun. On top of that, sorry, my cat's out there having fun. Middle of the night. Go figure. On top of that, guys, you know Mephisto? He is the senior devil figure in the Marvel Comics. Now, DC Comics likes to make things simple, and they just use the Judeo-Christian mythology, religion, whatever you want to call it, for the good and proper standard DC universe backdrop, right? God is the most powerful character there. They don't care about Hindus. They don't care about anybody else out there. Just like God. It's just God, all right? Gabriel's important there, and Lucifer's the main bad guy. Yeah. In the Marvel Comics, they make a lot more allegory, and it's a whole lot more fun. It's a brand new mythology, and it's amazing, everything that's in there. And I'm going to get into more of that later as Comic Book University progresses. But for now, I just did a 3-minute version of Explained in a Minute for Mephisto. He is the forefront of the demon, hell, Satan type characters in the Marvel Universe. There are several, and it's awesome that there are several. And it's, if I did have to pat myself on the back, it's pretty darn good. It's pretty good. On top of that, I talked about his first appearance later in a Spotlight on Story for Silver Surfer Volume 1, Issue number 3. I had to obviously talk a little bit about Issue 1 and 2 because it's the forefront of it. It's the peripherals, but it's all in there. And speaking of peripherals, I talk about all the way up to issue number 8 and 9, just because Mephisto is involved in that also. But his first appearance, I discuss it. And it's educational. You never know if one of these things might be one of the questions that come up in an upcoming FASERIP question game to see who's the chat leader. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. All right, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.